back to another episode of the Bravo Zulu podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Moore. Let's jump right into it today. Last week, I didn't even know this was happening. I didn't see the email letting us know these things. Usually you get one of those kinds of things. But SECDEF, he's been a real popular topic on this channel lately because he's putting out good, I think he's putting out pretty halfway decent good stuff, good messages, okay? So apparently he had an all hands or town hall call, which way you want to call it. And so we're going to do some share screening here. We're going to jump into it. And I watched a little bit, like about half of this. I saw the news articles. That's what first brought my attention to it, was a lot of news articles saying that he got a question and then the feed cut out. And the way they were trying to frame it was like it was very suspicious, this and that. And the actual DOD PAOs or whatever were saying, no, it was planned like that, yada, yada. I don't know what was planned or not planned, but I'm interested in, I've read some articles about it, so I know some of the things he said, but, excuse me, I want to see what he says. So I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to hit that play, right? I think you guys can hear that.
Through the troubled waters of life.
Doing benediction there. You got all the service
Please be seated.
SecDef's right up here. You can see my arrow on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 29th Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Pete Hegseth.
I think that's my internet maybe keeping down with it. Here's one thing I'm not a big fan of. You see all the DOD, you see all the service.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. I want to echo what the chaplain said. All glory to God.
Watch through this.
I wake up every morning praying for the wisdom to see what is right and good and true and the courage to do it. And I know many of you do the same.
So I was just talking over him a little bit right there, but where he's saying that, you know, he wakes up every morning trying to have the courage to do what is right, and that many feel the same. I hope many of us feel the same, right? Like, sometimes we don't know if what we're doing is right or if we're going to make the right decisions today. But we're always asking for that help. If you're a believer in that, if you're not, cool. Like, that doesn't. I think this is what people get worked up on concerning him a lot, right? Is like that he's a man of faith that has such a dirty past and stuff, right? If you want to put it like that, I'll put it like that. Okay, so what? Like, get over that part. But you know, he goes on and on. If I could have saved clips of this, I should have.
Throughout the ranks who recognize who we work for, which is the American people and the defense of our nation. So I want to thank everybody watching, everybody here for a part of that, being a part of that transition, which I've certainly, I recognize and understand that distinction.
This is a pretty funny
but what I want to bring to this job and to the ethos is a recognition of the men and women.
When he was talking about that, I'll let that play on. I'll just mute it.
Who do the dirty work all day long for us.
Where he was talking about, like, as a service member himself, he would run from the flagpole, right? Like, during colors, try to get inside. Everyone knows it. Everyone's done it. Like, I know this is a big thing people are always talking about and stuff about, oh, you know, you should just stand out there proud and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you should. But let's not act like everyone hasn't at some point when they're junior or senior or like time checker real quick. I'm like, yeah, I'm not stepping out of my truck. I'm just going to sit right here because I know that's about to happen in 2 minutes. I know I can't get from my truck inside in 2 minutes. And, you know, I just really don't feel like stopping in uniform or civilian clothes otherwise. I don't feel like stopping in the middle of my walk for 2 minutes. I'll just sit right here because it's easier, right? But then he made the joke that he understands that, you know, within the DOD, like, he's the flagpole, right? As a term used of, like, how far or close are you to working near the flagpole? He is the flagpole within the DOD, right? The senior person there, besides, like, you know, Trump and stuff. But y'all get it. Jump back into this. Put this back up there for you.
That's who we serve. I was on the phone late into the night last night talking to families of 2 soldiers who had a rollover at Fort Stewart. I was on the phone with the families of the 3 that were lost in the UH-60 outside of the airport here in Washington, D.C.
So here, he's saying that he's been calling families and talking to them about the helicopter that crashed into the aircraft over there in D.C. last week, weekend before now. And then another accident wherever he mentioned, right? And this speaks more to like the article, and this is like kind of mainstream news stuff that I was reading. So with a grain of salt if you want, or fucking eat it, fucking hot off the plate, whichever way you like it. A lot of comments you see from people are, and this, again, I'm trying to keep this strictly in a military like POV here, okay? On one side of news reporting, you see about him wanting center stage, no pun intended, as he is there, center stage, talking to the people there. And because he comes from Fox News, right? That's why he got picked, because he's a big Fox News person, and he got Trump's attention from being on Fox News, and that's why he got the job. And people calling him a DEI hire and all this and whatever. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's something that is regularly communicated within every branch military organization is communication, right? Everyone's number one thing is always, we could always get better at communication. We could always communicate more. So much, in fact, that commanding officers, strictly speaking Navy side, right? Y'all tell me in the other branches, okay? Often start to over-communicate, right? And that ends up getting them in trouble. Big or small trouble, one way or the other. All right, it ends up putting wardroom, again, speaking Navy talk here, wardroom and chief's mess in a bad position where it's hard for us to support or explain things that the CO is putting out to a junior sailor in the P-way that they have planned for the next upcoming week, but no one else has heard it, because the drum that is beaten so much is, we need better communication. We need better communication. So here is SECDEF communicating, right, doing this town hall. Later on, he goes on to say that he wanted it to be 06 and junior, right? It makes another joke how like 06 ain't that junior. But in the grand scheme of things, 06, as I've seen them, talk pretty bad at a 05, I'm sure a 08, 09 can dog on a fucking 06 pretty bad, right? Like there's levels to everything, okay? So the communication part, though, I just don't understand how if you're in the military, right, and you see SECDEF, coming out here and communicating their intentions, as an officer always says, right, how you could view that as a bad thing, unless, of course, we start hearing more things from the SECDEF that cut out the chain of command down, right? That's all, and that's what I was referring back to, like commanding officers often getting themselves in trouble, and I'm not talking about serious trouble like fired, just trouble as in, like, again, that communication flow. Some overdo it, right? In a sense of, I'm just going to put everything I want out immediately, which, okay, you're the CO, you can do that, right? But if it's not first, everything, again, chain of command, it should be out through the chain of command, not just like, boom, this is what I'm doing, right, from the hip. So that's the only thing here. I think this is good, a town hall. If he does more of them, go ahead. I think it can be beneficial to give that overall big picture view to the masses of, like, hey, we are the DOD, and this is where I want the DOD to go. This is what the DOD has achieved. And kind of like that end of week Friday before port visit call or whatever it is, like, hey, Bravo Zulu, see what I did there, to, this team and that team, and to these people, and to the, these people out here deployed in that ship and then that unit or whatever, right, doing all this work. We had great operations conducted here and there. We did some strikes, killed some bad guys. I think if he keeps it at that level, we'll be good. Now, early into this, not necessarily keeping it at that level, right? This was the first one, and we'll get more into his comments. One of the big comments that came out of this Excuse me. We'll talk about that. But this is a fine line of doing these all hands town hall calls like this and getting out good information, and then on the other hand, putting out information too fast that cuts out chain of command and makes us at the deck plate level. I say us, but I'm really talking about those 06s, those command commanders, like everyone else that's way senior than me, right? But like it's a trickle down effect. If that chain of command is not used going down, putting out the orders, then it makes us down at the deck plate very reactive to having to answer questions because the spin is on through the media, right? And all service members are plugged into it via phone and everything, and they're showing up to work asking us 101 questions about what SECDEF said Friday night or something, and where they're like, and some people, unlike me, because I try to be plugged in, healthy or not, some people are totally not plugged in, so they could be walking in Monday morning blindsided, be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean he said this or that? And it's like, boom, here's the Twitter, here's the X, here's this, here's that, and it's like, okay, cool. So, what do you want me to do? He's the SECDEF. I like no control over what he's saying or when it comes down, and that's where it comes down to like that general. When we get the orders from the chain of command, we will execute. Otherwise, just get the fuck to work, right? So, but enough about that. We'll jump back into this. Let's keep going.
In DC, like the costs and the consequences are very real, and you know that. One of the things I wasn't prepared for is every couple of weeks we do an orders book at OSD where we literally approve the orders that go out. It sounds like a formality, but having been on the other end of those orders where those dates really mattered and what the mission was into our department before I signed that book. And that's very much my commitment to you.
I'm gonna read the captions as he keeps talking and talk to you. Is when the camera cuts to a lot of the what do you call it? The crowd, right? And you see the service members there, and some of them, you see a couple yawns in there, which it's just funny because again, it's one of those things like when it's the 06 or the Admiral doing the all hands. If you get caught like that, you get a sharp elbow. You get hey, stand the fuck up. Like, what are you doing, right? But it doesn't matter what level you're at, okay? When someone's up there fucking talking and you're tired, it doesn't matter if you're 06, like you nodding off, you yawning, you fucking uninterested, like there's work to be done, but you got to be here and you just want to get back to the fucking work you want to do so you ain't got to stay late. This shit don't change whether you're E1, 06, 04, 5, like it's the same, man. Like, come on. I'm not fooled by it. Like, everyone's human, right? Here he goes talking about China. Let's see if we can get this.
And so we have to be urgent and we have to be ready about what that means. And we're going to do that. A part of how we're applying that is I've come in with 3 pillars that I've repeated before, but I want to say again of how we're approaching this from my level. Number 1 is restore the warrior ethos. Make sure that we get back to basics. Our job is to deter conflict and, if necessary, defeat and completely destroy, demoralize, and defeat our enemies. That's what we do. We do warfighting here at the Department of Defense. And
that's a great part, right? I'm going to pause that, right? We'll go take it back to the big screen because this is something I'm always talking about here, right? I'm always talking about that. Everyone warfights different depending on what branch you join. Okay, Air Force warfight from the hotel, supporting their jets, making sure they're up and flying. We support SC, right? The SEALs, the Rangers, the soft guys, the unit guys, like all them, they're supporting through their super duper pipe hitting, fucking knocking down doors, all that good shit, right? So everyone does it differently, but contributes to the same effect where like we need to win it. And I'm no warmongering motherfucker. Okay, I wish we didn't never have to do it, but Department of Defense, we are here for it. Okay, I'd rather it more be in defense than fucking defense of other countries. All right, but he's absolutely right. So we need to get. We're not there. I've said it. You could believe whichever way you want to about why we're not there, how we didn't get there, what we're not focused on, what we are focused on. All that shit aside, we are not as ready as we need to be for what may come. Okay? As the saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And right now, we're teetering on the gardener side. Excuse me. Okay, as a whole. Okay, not you sitting right there, fucking, super gung ho, all ready to go, fucking, everything shined up, fucking nothing rattling, nothing shining, and you're ready to do it. Okay, but as overall, like, we need to get better. Okay, and that's a lot of what he's talking about here, and I just don't see how anyone can disagree with that when you only look through it in a military lens. Okay, like, that's all I want to look through. Like, in the military, in the job, in the profession that we do, like, left and right, look around your division, your department, your unit, your battalion, wherever you're at, and just ask yourself, like, is that place the most war fighting ready, capable? And if you questioning it, then that means everyone needs to get better. Whatever we got to do to get better to get there. Okay, I'm not saying I don't have the answer how to do it. I'm just saying, maybe where I'm at, I have the answer, or I have input, right? Maybe you have that input too. Put it in, okay? That's what I'm saying.
I was on with the superintendents of West Point, Annapolis, and the Air Force Academy yesterday. Hey, what are we doing there to drive those core principles? What are we doing here to drive those core principles? From E1 to, I guess, is it 010? I don't know if you even said that.
Yeah, I think it's
and I know this room is.
I don't know if he like hesitated like that to make himself sound more relatable or something. Like, he was in the National Guard, right? He was it's 010, E1 to 010. There should have been no hesitation in that. So again, military speaking, right? You should know that. I don't think that makes you sound great if you're like, oh, what who's the highest? What's the highest ranking person? Or what is it? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't super bad, but it's one of those, like, when you're watching a military movie and, like, the ribbons or something, the uniform's jacked up, and you're just like, hold on, y'all hired consultants and y'all still didn't get this? It just makes you scratch your head, right? So, like, come on, we know what it is. Know your ranks. Also a mistake there. 06 and junior. No one's below another one. Okay, there you go. See, he makes that 06 ain't junior joke. Whoever that is, Sergeant Major or whatever, is just like, yeah, okay. Like, he wasn't really laughing. I thought it was pretty funny.
Impacting you and your family. What is your mission? Are you being utilized? How does it affect? I actually think it adds to readiness, and because you're doing a real world mission. But how does it affect all those aspects?
That's a real interesting one too, right? Is like, Marines and people got moved down to the border there in California, and maybe some other places. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it too much. I mean, if he's asking right there in theater, quote unquote, right at the southern border, asking those troops like, hey, how's everything going? If he's asking that question down there and getting real feedback, I thought that's what we wanted from leadership, right? Everything else aside, is that not what you want from leadership? To get real world feedback and make sure that it's heard and that it's action is taken on it. So again, after all the political shit is done, I really want to see, like, the barracks issues, like all those things, right? And maybe they do because, if hopes and dreams, come true, and Doge finds all this extra money that has been wasted, or we pass a fucking audit and realize that we've been getting scammed by fucking the industry people, maybe all of a sudden we can have money, or we do have money, just appropriated and allocated in the wrong places, and we could fix those things that are important to service members and get that better quality of life, because it's deserved, right? It's deserved because the work and sacrifices they make, it's earned, right? So deserved and earned, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I think we've seen that already in the recruiting numbers. I think we've seen an enthusiasm and excitement from young men and women who want to join the military actively because they are interested in being a part of the finest fighting force the world has to offer.
So kind of agree with that, kind of don't, right? Because I've said it. Juniors, they're really coming in looking to serve. They're looking for work. I explained it. I don't know if I explained it on here once or just to a friend offline, but like a lot of junior young adults joining 18, that 20 or whatever, right? They were kids during the 08, 2010, 2011 Great Recession run, right? Think about how many kids in that time where their parents were losing houses, right? Foreclosures because of bad interest rates, bad decisions by the parents, things like that. They're losing houses. They might have been losing cars. I don't think we need to look at it generationally. So that generation, they're really Gen Z, right? Which we give a lot of shit to Gen Z, okay, for being fucking, just fucking, TikTok kids and whatever, okay. But we're forgetting that part where like if they were 10 years old, 12 years old or something, um, that even be younger, right? It's 2025. If they're, yeah, that's even, you get what I'm saying. I can't do the math right now, but so many that have come in were kids or teenagers or young kids during that era, and they remember those things. So when they're coming into the military, with their mind and their thoughts are, I want security. I want a secure job. I want a secure paycheck. I don't want to have to live in fear of losing things. So I want that job that can work. Now, that's some, okay? The ones that have experienced that, that's how they're thinking. Some think it's just a fucking job. I don't care. I'm going to come in and I'm going to get all the benefits because I've learned them on TikTok, right? I'm going to say all the things I need to say to get my disability, and I'm going to fucking take everything. After 4 years, I get 100% disabled veteran fucking card, and I'm making out. Which again, if you really are disabled, I think it's awesome. If you're not, I don't think it's cool. Okay, and disabled covers a lot of things, but like there's, I've talked to some people that are inside the know, and it's getting real. It's getting abused right now, really, really bad, by a lot of younger service members, right? Not even retirees who also abuse it, right? But it's getting a pretty abused, pretty bad, where they've overcorrected and they're gonna reverse that, and people are gonna start losing out, and that's never a good thing, right? I think we should all be honest about our service. We should be honest about the things that are wrong with us, and if it's not 100%, it's not 100%. That's that, right? But people feel, me included, that 100% is like well deserved, um, because of the sacrifices that we have made over a 20-year, 30-year career, right? I think if you're a young person that over a 4-year career that never deployed any kind of deployment, I don't give a fuck where, like zero deployment, only under wait time or debt time or something like that, and you're looking for 100%, it just really leaves me to question like what was your, it sounds fucked up, but it's like, what was your sacrifice? Not saying that everyone, but it makes me scratch my head. I just want to know more, right? When it's just like, what'd you do? And you're like, yeah, I was part of this 3 shore commands in 4 years, and I got out, and I'm 100% disabled. It just makes me scratch my head and make me do this. Like, I wonder how you got that. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I also don't know. Yeah, that's that. Let's get back to what he was saying. Oh, here he goes. Play this for you.
From our perspective, why do you get rid of something like DEI? Because from our perspective, it's served a purpose of dividing the force as opposed to uniting the force. And this is something I've said quite publicly, and what I want to be is transparent with this building and everyone who serves here. Say the same thing in public that we say in private, which I hope you'll find from us. I think the single dumbest phrase in military history is our diversity is our strength.
There it is. That was the big quote that came out of this. That I was reading through the headlines, right? I already covered the DEI stuff. Go back, check those ones out. Again, the months I can understand. Don't necessarily agree with every single month being taken away. I understand celebrating the months, very much so. I would like to see it flipped, and us Chiefs out there, right, flip it into something that can still be celebrated with a different fucking title on top, and still do what needs to be done to honor those that deserve to be honored every fucking day of the week, every week of the month of the year, everything, okay? But this is what really got people wound up here, is him saying that he thinks that the quote, "diversity is our strength," is the dumbest phrase in military history. Right. And let me finish playing you this, because I don't want to take this out of context or anything like the news media. Okay. So we're going to go back over and we're going to rewind it just a couple seconds.
And everyone who serves here say the same thing in public that we say in private, which I hope you'll find from us.
That's a huge point, too. Okay. What you say in public or what you say in private, you should be able to say in public. Everyone doesn't do that. I don't do that. A lot of people don't do that. Everyone doesn't always do that. But I think that's a great point that he brings up, to say, like, hey, like, if they're making these decisions, right? Again, think policy wise. If they're thinking these things policy wise in private, then they should be able to say these policy things out in public, because they're trying to make it policy, right? So they should give an honest, transparent, order or whatever they're thinking about it, right? I'd prefer it not to be some, bullshit ass excuse or reason, or no reason at all. Okay. And from his reasoning, as he's stating here, believe it or not, I'm not here to fucking tell you what to believe or not. But this is what he's saying, is that he thinks it wasn't good and it divided us more than it did. Then it united us. Maybe. I think maybe at the higher levels, I can see how they think that, they being people who like it or don't like it. I think down here at the deck plates, me and my shipmates, we weren't really fucking concerned about it trying to be. I was, because I could see where it was being written into instructions and stuff, right? And me and other chiefs would talk about it maybe, but like me and the sailors, they're oblivious. They're just trying to fucking get to work, right? And get the fucking work done so they could go home and get some liberty. But eventually, like, it trickles down enough where it does start impacting things, okay? Or it impacts, let's say, your sailor, the corridor boards, things like that, when, someone from your department can't win because your department won last time, and that's not equitable. So despite you having the number one first class on board, right, as the instruction is written, because everyone's trying to be equitable, because people believe in this, or people are made to forced to have to believe in it, something like that. I don't even fucking understand how you could be forced to. Okay. It's not equitable. Everyone needs to win, so they pick somebody else. Right? So that's that. So here he goes. He's gonna say this again. Let's get back into this part.
Dumbest phrase in military history is our diversity is our strength. I think our strength is our unity. Our strength is our shared purpose, regardless of our background, regardless of how we grew up, regardless of our gender, regardless of our race. In this department, we will treat everyone equally. We will treat everyone with fairness. We will treat everyone with respect. And we will judge you as an individual by your merit and by your commitment to the team and the mission. That's how it has been. That's how it will be. Any inference otherwise is meant to divide or create complications that otherwise should not and do not exist.
All right, so we'll pause it there. Okay, so that was the full quote. My eyes are tweaking today. All right, that's like the full quote. He's gonna go on, and we're like halfway through this, but and I don't know if we'll get through the rest. Okay, but I mean, again, if you take that at face value, all right, I think it's pretty spot on. He hits on the with fairness, right, and all the other things that people are afraid of being taken away. He's saying still exist, except the DEI quote unquote portions of all these instructions, which I'll refer back to again. if DEI wasn't in these instructions, why were all these instructions and directives and notices and command philosophies and everything like this canceled only to be rewritten? Because it was in there. Like, that's the only thing. Cause if I said, hey, you got to get rid of, it was in there. It was in there. I don't give a fuck what you, it was in there. Okay. It was in there. And now it's not. So, again, I don't think he's wrong here. I think, again, looking through a military lens, we should all be treated equal, with respect, with dignity. The problem is, the rub that people have, rightfully so, is that it wasn't that way for a very long time and period in our country and in our military. Right? It wasn't. Everyone wasn't treated fairly. Everyone didn't get the same opportunity. It absolutely fucking was not fair across the board for a very long time in America and in our military. Does that mean that we're still like that today? No. Does it mean that some people still act like that? Yes. And that is the very, very, in my belief, small minority of people that are only looking out for their own. Okay, and as I covered in previous episodes, their own could be any fucking kind of their own, all right? It does not matter, okay? What a person looks like it's... So, again, I'm not too rubbed the wrong way about what's coming down here, okay? And maybe because I'm going to retire soon in 3 years, and with that, then it won't be my problem. Oh, excuse me. But I hope, what I want to see and hope for is that this isn't a problem, that this does unite and that this does make us more mission ready, because I don't want sailors and everyone else going out on deployment having to worry about this stuff. Okay. And I just want you guys to be successful and safe and get back home from that deployment every time. Right. So let's,
restore the warrior ethos. The second one is rebuild our military.
That's a big one.
Our defense industrial base, our acquisitions process, how we rapidly field new technologies, how we...
That's a huge one right there, right? The defense base and everything, acquisition. Like, we're getting rolled over the coals on so many projects and things being built, especially like here in the Navy, what I like to talk about the most, okay? Ships are behind schedule. Ships are over budget. Things are not happening the way they should be. And I hope that Doge or whoever looks at this finds mistakes and finds ways that we can make it better, because we need to. It's owed us, the service member, to have the best, most ready, capable machinery, right? Not getting brand new ships and thinking like, God damn, this is a piece of shit. We shouldn't be thinking that on a brand new ship that costs, fucking 50 million or 50 million, 100 million or some shit, however fucking much a ship fucking costs, right? We shouldn't be thinking that. So that is absolutely crazy to get on a brand new ship and be like, damn, this is a real piece of shit. LCS. I said it. All right. So, yeah, that needs to be looked at. It needs to be made better.
that when you actually war game it, don't have the impact you want them to.
Yeah.
One of the benefits I have is I don't have any special interests. I don't have a background invested in any systems or services. I'm agnostic to that. It means I'm going to take a lot of arrows, and I'm prepared to do so. That's fine. We need the best systems in the hands of warfighters where they need it, to the COCOMs, to deter, send the signals that when that fight comes, we're ready to win.
Yeah, again, what I just said, right? And I like the point that, and again, grain of salt, take the politics out of it. I don't want someone leading the Department of Defense that has a lot of pokers, a lot of irons in the coal in a lot of different industries, right? Because they're going to push things into directions and places that are going to be, good for them. It's human, right? If I know I got parts and pieces in all these different businesses, I'm going to want those businesses to do good. I'm going to want my business to be able to provide the best thing for the DOD, because that means I'm going to get paid somewhere down the road, right? So if he has no allegiances or ties to any of that industry, that's fucking great. I hope he goes in there and fucking cleans house. We're not going to get rid of Lockheed Martin or Bose, or who is that Marine? Sikorsky, Lockheed Martin, okay, etc. Right? Like, we're not going to get rid of them, but let's make them play fair. Let's make them play by our rules, right? They're American companies here to provide, not here just to provide for us, but like to take our taxpayer money so we could be ready with the best things. If we don't have the best things, what the fuck we paying them for? You know what I'm saying? Like, we paying them we're paying them a lot of money not to have the best. I don't think that's what we signed up for. That's not what American taxpayers. Well, fuck taxes anyways, but get what you're fucking paying for, right? He goes into the audit here. Let me see if I can get past some of this. Again, Marines passed 2 times. We haven't passed anything. $850 billion. And I'm going to tell you this about the audit, right? There's a lot of money that just gets wasted, okay? You guys on your fucking wish lists and fucking end of fiscal year, everyone's like, well, this is what everyone that's not an LS, even the LSs say, well, I was told that if we don't use it this year that we're not going to get as much next year. So no one can fucking get as much. Do you have enough to fucking meet the mission? We don't need new chairs every fucking year. You don't need all the Gerbers and Leathermans. And yes, I've ordered some stuff like that before. But really, while it was as a chief under my management, I try to limit as much as that as possible. I need parts that make repairs to this fucking shit. Okay? And that's a long process, because it's not just me doing this. Like, work centers order the fucking thing. Getting into the weeds here. But I'd rather spend my money on shit that makes us better than just, oh, hey, here's more money, I need you to spend it, and you're looking at me like, hey, just fucking spend it so we don't lose it. Fuck, you're losing it. I'm not buying divisions and people chairs that I bought them last year because they can't take care of this shit. Fuck you, stand up, right? So I don't really believe in that. I tell people all the time I don't believe in wish lists. Yep. Mm-hmm. We need it. We need it. We'll get here through this deterrence and then we'll wrap up here. Oh, I didn't hear that part last time. That's big right there, right? If he's talking about, and this is something he has said very publicly in his former job, of the generals and people that were in charge of the Afghanistan pullout need to be held accountable for how badly it was done, right? And for the 13 service members that lost their life. And I don't think it's so much like holding them accountable strictly for that loss of life. Loss of life happens, but that pullout in Afghanistan was sloppily done, I think. By most accounts, I think everyone agrees that it was hastily put together, not well executed. And I'm not blaming all of that for people dying. People can die every day of the week, every day, fucking when you're in a war-torn country. But it did not go well overall. That's fair.
Aim to reestablish that deterrence. And it starts
It's not fair.
with our own southern border. It starts with the defense of our homeland. I think in some ways this department over time has felt like that's somebody else's mission. We've spent a lot of time, decades, my generation and yours,
let me know.
defending other people's borders.
Right? Do you guys? Oh, so right there, he just see, and this is a lot of stuff that hits. I think it hits home for a lot of us, right? Like, we're out defending other people's borders, but our own border, whether you agree or disagree, is not well defended against cartels, against criminals. I understand the immigration thing and people wanting to come here for a better life and stuff. That is a immigration separate Secretary of State, like state issue that needs to be figured out and overhauled and redone and made better, right? But there's no reason why we should not stop bad people from coming in, right? There's no reason we should stop, drugs and all that stuff, right? Like weed. How much weed comes across the border anymore? I wonder. Probably not much, right? No one's ever talking about like the weed wars anymore. Maybe that's because it's been legalized so much, and we're growing it here and doing that. So now it's always about the fentanyl, right? So some people think if you legalize all drugs, the drug wars will be over completely. I don't know about that, but we should be able to secure and protect our own country from our northern and southern borders from bad intentions of people that might want to come in, okay? And we should be focused on that more than we're focused on other countries and their borders, right? And I think that's a fair assessment, okay? And that's, again, immigration stuff aside. Just saying, that's like me telling you that you need to go stand watch on your neighbor's house at night. But then who's standing watch on your house at night if you're not there? Who? No one? And you're okay with that? We should not be okay with that.
I'm sure many of them want to seek a better life. I understand that.
Oh.
But we also don't know who millions of them are.
Excuse me.
What their intentions are, why they're here.
Yep.
That creates a very real national security threat to the country. Border security is national security. And as the president, a couple of weeks, repel and seal at our southern border so that we know exactly who's coming in, and when they come in, they're coming in lawfully. And then also, around the world, prioritization. Partners really to be combat multipliers.
Yeah.
Certain regions of the world that America can't be the guarantor of everything forever. In a world where we have
interesting to me.
support, who also need to be prepared to step up. President Trump led on that with NATO. In his first administration, we're going to do it again. We're going over to Europe next week for the NATO ministerial to talk to our friends.
Don't care about
it. Sort of to wrap up, and I've already gone longer than I should have. It really is, from our perspective, a back to basics moment. When President Trump chose me and he said, Pete, I want you to run the Defense Department, his charge to me was return that department to its warfighting mission at its core. Warfighting, lethality, meritocracy, accountability, and readiness. The things the bedrock of what we all...
Again, I don't see how we can have a problem with those things, right? I don't see how we can have a problem with those things. Let me know down in the comments, like, what of those things, strictly from a military point of view. So really, that means, like, if you're not in the military, I'm not sure how much of a point of view you have, right? I mean, yes, you're the taxpayer, and we're doing it for you, for the country, but back to the basics, right? Brilliant on the basics, as some of you fuckers like to say. Yeah, right. Excuse me. Where I'm trying to find it. Warfighting lethality. That's what we should be, right? DOD should be lethal. Whatever we're doing out there, it is to bring war, and we should have that lethality. Meritocracy, people hate the word because it's spun around so much in media, right? But again, as I've covered before, merit-based advancement. No one should ever fucking care about what you look like or what you do in privacy or anything else. Are you the fucking best for this job? Yes or no? Then let's keep promoting you and let's get you in the positions to be the best to lead fucking people. Okay, lead sailors out there for us. Okay, accountability. How many of a junior sailor out there has been begging for more accountability of shitty leaders and stuff? If this guy brings that, then fucking we should be cheering that on. So again, a lot of the beef, I think, is from junior people, maybe, or maybe it's millennials like me that have a real big problem. But why are we? I mean, let me pull up the screen. These things right here, right, in the closed captions. What is wrong with that? I don't get. Oh, now it's not gonna try. What is wrong with these things, huh? What's wrong with those things? I don't know. I don't think there is. I just don't think there's anything wrong with those things. So, again, you let me know down in the comments.
I was at the Sergeant Major's Academy down at Fort Bliss just a couple days ago talking to 500 future Sergeants Major. They're the standard bearers.
Damn, 500.
What are the standards? I mean, and it starts with the basic stuff, right? It's grooming standards and uniform standards and training standards, fitness standards.
Pause. Let's talk about that part right there that he said. Grooming standard, whatever. Okay. Give me a fucking beard. All right. But the uniform standards. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was at the commissary. It would suck because Navy's still in the middle of a shifting to new uniform. What if we just go back to like everyone wearing one uniform? Well, it'd really be like all the other 4 branches and then us, because we are that special where as a seagoing service, it's going to be a little bit different. Marines, I don't think Marines would ever give up the MARPAT and the way their uniform is, which I don't blame them. I still think their camouflage is the best one probably, even though multicam is good. It's just one of those weird things. But what if somewhere in here he just canceled all fucking uniform contracts, right? And made just one. I don't want 3. You could do 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. Air Force and Army can be the same. It don't fucking matter, okay? Navy and Coast Guard, both maritime, could be the same. And then you'd have Marines. So you'd have like 3 basic uniforms. So, and the Navy, we just fucked up ours again. God dang. Like, ours is so ugly. Like, one side of name tape and the other side of patch. It is so stupid and moronic. Who the fuck made that up, right? I'm going to go off. Let me get back to this. I'm on a soapbox. I hate the fuck. The khaki, just do blue with gold lettering. Fucking dumb. A whole khaki uniform. No one laughed.
Culture where big stuff you're not held accountable for. When you ignore the small stuff from criminals, and I'm not saying if you violate grooming standards you're a criminal. The analogy is incomplete. But if you violate the small stuff and you allow it to happen to big stuff, it creates a culture where big stuff you're not held accountable for. I think the same thing exists inside our services, making sure at every level there is standards and accountability, and that we live it at the highest levels as well. Which is why we are going to, look back at what happened in Afghanistan and hold people accountable. Not to be retrospective, not for retribution, but to understand what went wrong and why there was no accountability for it. Those types of things are examples.
Again,
but I just appreciate the service.
I don't think he's too wrong on some of this stuff, right? I think he goes on. Oh, so this is where he talks about China and Russia. Like the question, he gets asked one question and then it's like a wrap, right? From that gentleman there. All right. And that's going to be a wrap for us. Look, I'm just trying to talk about what he's talking about. I'm just trying to talk to you about how can we look at this in a military point of view and find the good in it. All right. And find the bad. But the bad, right? We need to find out how we're going to work through that at our level, at the deck plate level, right? And then the good, more importantly, how we're going to multiply that good for everyone, okay? So, with that, let's wrap up for the night. Again, it is Black History Month. We're having a good month here. I saw someone on my Facebook. They've been celebrating every day, and I think that's awesome, right? I wonder what you guys are doing at your commands. I shouldn't say that because you shouldn't be doing anything. But what I was going to say was, what are you doing at your commands to still celebrate military history in support of maybe? You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen out there. All right. Hey, don't forget, we got more shows coming up soon. All right. If you haven't been tuned in to the latest ones, check out the latest ones. They've been really good too. And we got more coming up. We got a couple guests lined up again. And it's going to be all good. We'll see everybody. I don't know when I'm going to see y'all again. When's the next? I think we got a live show coming up actually this week. If I remember, I got to check the Palm Pilot. Hey, for more information on how you can support the podcast, visit us at Spotify, Podcasters, Bravo Zulu, Apple Podcast, Google, Amazon, all the other podcasting platforms. All right. And don't forget the information, views, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely of myself, Joshua Moore, and do not necessarily represent the DOD, DON, or those of the respected institutions or organizations. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, leave us a comment below. How do you like this? What do you think about SECDEF? Keep it respectful a little bit at least. And give us the finger. Give a like. Click the bell. We'll be back. All right. And we see you in the next one. We out.